So you want to get into green screen with your church or your organization. It's really pretty easy to do, and you can do it on the cheap. And I'm going to show you in this video how it looks on 4 different cameras. Hey, I'm Gary Moyers. Welcome to Worship and Tech Episode 3. This is actually part 2 of a series we're doing on green screen technology, how to get it done on the cheap. If you haven't had a chance to watch the first episode, I'll put a box right up here. You can check that out if you want to. I'll also put one down in the link below if you want to watch it after this video. Today, in this part 2, still chasing that sub $300 budget, we're going to be talking about lighting your talent, about some of the apps you can use, a couple of other things like that. So let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing you got to consider when you're lighting your talent is how you want to light it. Sort of the prevailing knowledge that you'll find almost anywhere on the internet is 3-point lighting. Can you do it with 1 light? Absolutely. But you can also do it with 3 lights pretty cheaply. Let me show you how I did it and how most folks are trying to work it out. You can get a 3-light kit. And matter of fact, I'll link one down below, an average common one that you can find a lot of these things on Amazon and other places. But I'll link one down in the description below. You have a key light, a fill light, and a back or a hair light. Your key light, which is your main light, that's your main source light, it usually sits up and to the side. Why? Well, that way it won't reflect on glasses and it gets one side stronger than the other. Creates a sense of shadow on one side. Your fill light goes on the other side and coming back at you. It helps fill some of the shadows. Now, we can get rid of that light and it would have a more dramatic look with just the key light coming in. The back light is exactly what it says it is. You set it behind you, whether it can be up high and coming down or low and coming up, and it helps separate you from the background, sort of a halo of outline behind you. It really helps. So it's best to use a large light source, a soft box. Matter of fact, the larger you can get the light source, the softer it's going to be on your face, on your body. You don't want harsh lights. Soft boxes do a great job of that. You can even have reflected light. I've seen a lot of people set up very cheaply with a regular old LED shop light that would blow you out of the room if you did it directly, but they bounce it off a white poster board and come back at the subject. And it really does a great job in diffusing the light, and you're able to control it that way. So the thing about these particular light kits, okay, they're cheap. You know, I'll be honest with you, they're cheap. They're not meant for setting up and tearing down and taking to a remote shot here or there. But they work just fine if you're basically going to set them up somewhere and forget about them. They stay there all the time. Or maybe 2 or 3 moves, but not a whole lot. They're meant to be sort of static, not portable. One of the ways you can control your lighting is being able to dial in your light source. Now, this kit that I've got linked below that I'm talking about here, this 3-point light kit that you can buy so cheaply from so many different people on Amazon, it's one light temperature, 1 light level, and that's it. The only way you can change how hot that is on your subject is to actually physically move the light back and forth, which can be a pain. Of course, if you've got a static setup, it's going to stay the same the entire time. It's no big deal because you set it and leave it. There are a few more, slightly more expensive setups online that you can find where your light source actually allows you to dial it up and dial it down. Let me show you the one I'm working with here. So my key light in this particular setup is about at my 2 o'clock and up about 45 degrees coming down on me. So that allows, like I said earlier, to get the bounce off my glasses. You can't really see it unless I maybe move my head up like that. But on the back side of this, it allows me to dial up the brightness up to 100%, down to like 10%. It's not a massive change because these aren't extremely expensive lights, but it does make a nice subtle change, enough that I don't have to move my whole light kit back and forward. Now on my left, for my fill light, I've got it set, I don't know, 10 feet, 15 feet, 12 feet over there, directly even with my head, but it's pretty far away. And that allows me to have a little more shadow on this side than on this side. Now behind me, I've got a fill light that's just below the level of my chair. If I had hair, you would really be able to see the difference. Maybe if I, can you see something when I do this, or turn a little bit maybe? You can see the difference in what a fill light behind me would do. That's a 3-point lighting system with the ability to dial your color brightness up and down. Now, as I said before, can you do this with 1 light? Absolutely, one light will get it done. You can just set one light, maybe directly behind the camera, up at about a little higher than 45 degrees and come down at you. That'd be just fine, and that's all you need. But for the price of one light, you might as well go ahead and get the 3-light kit, because it's not a ton of difference in price. Maybe twice the price for 3 lights as it is for one. So it makes sense to go ahead and get 3 to give you more options. Now, if you have a more advanced camera that allows you to dial in your color temperature, it'll make a big difference in your edit later on and how it will look with your subject against the green screen. There are several ways to be able to get that right. Look at, if you have an iPhone, there's an app called Light Spectrum Pro. It's just a couple of bucks. It's pretty cheap, so you can pick that up and actually point the camera at your light source and find out exactly what the temperature of that light is. And we talked about this in the last video. As a matter of fact, I talked about it way too long, sort of ad infinitum, about Kelvin temperatures. Remember that? So this is what we're talking about. You can use the Light Spectrum Pro app to figure out exactly what color temperature your lights are, dial your camera in, and then you've got a natural setting for the person you're filming. Now, Android has an app, and it's absolutely free. It's called White Balance Color Temp Meter. Long name. Again, these are linked down below. And that's not the only ones. Both Apple and Android have other apps that do the same thing. These are just the ones that I've messed with in the past, and they were pretty good. Here's another little pro tip. If you're going to be filming with your phone, which is just fine, there's an app called FiLMiC Pro. I would really recommend you looking strongly at this. It costs like 15 bucks. It's pretty cheap, but it allows you to do some pretty amazing looks, enhances your actual software that comes with your phone. As a matter of fact, I filmed an entire video with a group I used to direct, Best Friends from Lubbock Christian University. This was in mid-2017, but I filmed the entire thing on my old Pixel phone, the original Pixel phone, using the FiLMiC Pro app, and it kind of gives it a film look. I didn't really do much in the way of processing at all. This is exactly what I captured with my phone. Really pretty pleasing, pretty good results. So if you're going to be using your phone, I would highly suggest you look at FiLMiC Pro. So what's really amazing to me, with today's technology in editing software, combined with a good green screen setup, you can use almost any competent camera to be able to get decent results. Of course, mileage will vary, okay? But let me show you some examples here. This right here was filmed with the Canon XF405, which is what I use week in, week out. So good results are expected. So the next one I filmed with my Google Pixel 4a phone, 12.2 megapixel, f1.7, 27 millimeter wide. But you can see as it's going through here, it's a little bit overexposed. It was pretty hot, and I can't dial it down unless, of course, I had used FiLMiC Pro, which I did not on this particular shot. But it worked, okay? It worked. The next one I filmed with the DJI Osmo Pocket, the original Osmo Pocket, not the Osmo Pocket 2. It's not really meant for this kind of thing, but it's a 4K camera. So I filmed it using that, and you can see it's a little bit flatter of an image, and I had to do a little bit of work to get it to get the colors correct. But again, it worked. And the fourth one I tried was the Sony HDR CX405. This is a entry-level, cheap handheld camcorder. I mean, I got it for like $195 on sale. Of course, it's Sony, so it's got a Zeiss lens, and it does a pretty good job. I was really amazed at the quality of the image that came out. And you see again, the green screen, it worked. So I guess the moral of the story, as I mentioned earlier, is you can use just about any camera and get competent results. Of course, the better the camera is, the better it's going to be, obviously. But you can make it work with almost any camera as long as you have good lighting and a good, well-lit green screen setup. So that's it for this round. In future videos regarding green screen, we'll talk about some other aspects, including teleprompter. Teleprompter is a really easy thing to do. We'll show you about that probably in one of the next 2 or 3 videos. Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. Hey, if you would, please, like everyone on YouTube says, hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel. And hit like. We really like that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Worship in Tech. You know, I mentioned that first video in this series. If you haven't seen it, it's right there. You can click on it. It'll take you there. You'll enjoy it. Thanks.